When we moved into our home, we were excited about the community and the beautiful surroundings. However, little did we know that our lives were about to be turned upside down by a homeowners association, or HOA. Though we lived in a neighborhood governed by an HOA, our family had never signed any agreements or paid dues to become members. This lack of membership would soon become a critical point of contention. Weeks into our residency, we received a notice claiming that we owed substantial fines for various infractions. These fines were completely unfounded, as we had not participated in any of the HOA's activities or agreed to their rules and regulations. Initially, we thought it was a simple misunderstanding that could be resolved with a phone call or meeting, but what followed was nothing short of shocking. Instead of addressing our concerns, the HOA escalated the situation dramatically. They began taking extreme measures to enforce their claims, ultimately barricading our home and impeding our ability to come and go freely. It felt surreal to be trapped in our own residence over issues that should not have involved us at all. As the days turned into weeks, the emotional strain on my family grew heavier, leaving us grappling with confusion and frustration. How could an organization claim authority over us when we weren't even members? This conflict would soon reveal deep-seated issues within HOA governance and community rights that many residents may overlook. To understand the conflict we faced, it's important to clarify what HOA membership entails and how it relates to our situation. Homeowners associations are designed to maintain property values and ensure a certain standard of living within a community. Typically, when you buy a home in an HOA-governed neighborhood, you automatically become a member and are required to adhere to specific rules while paying regular dues. In our case, we did not sign any agreements that would make us HOA members. We had purchased our home from a previous owner who was also not an active participant in the HOA. This meant we never received any official communication regarding membership obligations or fines. The lack of documentation confirming our membership status left us bewildered when the HOA began accusing us of violations. What's more troubling is that many residents often assume that they are automatically bound by the HOA's rules simply by residing in the community. This assumption can lead to confusion and conflict, especially for those who may not be fully aware of their rights. In our instance, we felt powerless as the HOA asserted authority over us despite the absence of any legal basis for their claims. As tensions mounted, it became clear that our situation was not just about unpaid fines. It was about understanding the complexities and potential pitfalls of living in an HOA-governed area without proper representation or awareness. Our experience serves as a cautionary tale for future homeowners navigating similar circumstances. The situation escalated when we received our first notice from the HOA, detailing a series of so-called unpaid fines. The list included vague claims about property maintenance issues, such as allegedly unkempt lawns and improper trash disposal. We were confused and frustrated, as we had taken great care to maintain our property since moving in. It was bewildering to be accused of violations that we weren't even aware existed. The HOA's communication lacked clarity and specificity, making it difficult for us to address the claims effectively. They provided no evidence of these alleged infractions, and the fines seemed arbitrary at best. Despite our attempts to reach out for clarification, we received little more than bureaucratic responses that dismissed our concerns. As the days passed, we were sent increasingly stern letters demanding payment for these fines. The tone shifted from polite reminders to threats of further action if we didn't comply. It felt as though the HOA was operating under a guilty until proven innocent mentality. We attempted to explain our non-member status, hoping it would resolve the issue, but the HOA seemed undeterred. This lack of engagement only heightened our anxiety. We felt trapped in a system that was supposed to foster community, but instead turned into a source of hostility and confusion. With every letter we received, it became increasingly clear that this conflict was not just about fines. It represented a struggle for recognition and fair treatment within a governing body that didn't acknowledge our rights as non-members. In an effort to resolve the mounting tension, we decided to reach out to the HOA directly. Our first encounter was with a representative who seemed initially sympathetic to our plight. We explained our situation, emphasizing that we were not members of the HOA and therefore should not be held accountable for fines. The representative listened but offered little reassurance, suggesting that the HOA had its own rules that applied universally within the community. During this encounter, it became apparent that there was a significant disconnect between our understanding of the situation and the HOA's perspective. The representative insisted that property owners in the neighborhood, regardless of their membership status, were subject to certain regulations. This left us feeling even more bewildered, as we had entered this community under the assumption that we would not be bound by rules we had never agreed to. As our discussions continued, we pressed for documentation or evidence supporting their claims. However, the representative seemed unable or unwilling to provide any clear justification for fines. Instead of finding common ground, our dialogue felt increasingly one-sided and frustrating. Each conversation reinforced our feeling of being unheard and marginalized. Despite our best efforts, it became clear that engaging with the HOA representatives would not lead to a resolution. The conversations only added to our confusion and anxiety as we faced a growing sense of isolation in a community that was supposed to embrace us. It was evident that we needed to take a different approach if we were going to stand up against this unjust treatment. As our attempt to communicate with the HOA continued to falter, the situation took a drastic turn. Without any warning, we discovered that the HOA had barricaded our driveway with concrete blocks and caution tape, effectively trapping us in our own home. This aggressive action came as a shock, leaving us feeling vulnerable and bewildered. How could an organization have the audacity to enforce such measures against us when we had never even consented to their authority? With our daily lives disrupted, we were left without a clear way to come and go. Simple tasks like grocery shopping or commuting to work became complicated and stressful. The barricades served as a constant reminder of our escalating conflict with the HOA, amplifying our feelings of frustration and helplessness. Neighbors who witnessed the scene expressed their disbelief, some even voicing their support for our family situation. In response to this escalation, we began documenting everything. Photographs of the barricade, copies of all correspondence with the HOA, and notes from conversations with neighbors. This dramatic confrontation not only highlighted the HOA's overreach, but also revealed how quickly a community dispute could spiral out of control. We knew we needed to take a stand, not just for our family, but for anyone else who might find themselves in similar circumstances without a voice. The barricading of our home had an immediate and profound impact on our family life. What once felt like a welcoming community quickly transformed into a source of anxiety and fear. With our driveway blocked, we felt trapped not just physically but emotionally as well. Simple outings that used to bring joy turned into sources of stress, as we constantly worried about how we would navigate daily life. The emotional toll was particularly hard on my children. They were used to playing outside, riding their bikes, and visiting neighbors, but now they felt confined within the walls of our home. The frustration of being unable to enjoy their childhood weighed heavily on all of us. We tried to maintain a sense of normalcy by organizing indoor activities and family games, but the underlying tension was palpable. My children often asked questions that I struggled to answer. Why were we being treated this way? Why couldn't we go outside? Additionally, my partner and I found ourselves in constant discussions about how to handle the situation, leading to sleepless nights filled with worry. The stress permeated every aspect of our lives, affecting our relationships and overall well-being. Friends began to notice the change in our demeanor. What used to be light-hearted gatherings turned into serious discussions about legal options and community rights. As our situation dragged on, it became clear that this conflict was not just a battle against the HOA. It was a fight for our family's peace of mind. We realized that we needed to reclaim not only our freedom, but also the sense of security and happiness that had been so abruptly stripped away from us. Realizing the gravity of our situation, we knew we had to seek legal guidance. We consulted a lawyer who specialized in property law and HOA disputes. During our first meeting, we laid out the entire timeline of events, emphasizing our status as non-members and the unreasonable actions taken by the HOA. The attorney was shocked by the HOA's tactics and assured us that we had a good chance of contesting their claims in court. Armed with legal advice, we began to gather all the documentation we had amassed. Photographs of the barricade, copies of correspondence with the HOA, and witness statements from supportive neighbors. This evidence would be crucial in building our case. Our attorney also suggested reaching out to local news outlets to raise awareness about our plight, which should potentially put pressure on the HOA to back down. Meanwhile, community members started to rally around us. Neighbors who had previously been silent began voicing their support, sharing their own experiences with the HOA's overreach. Some even offered to attend community meetings with us to help advocate for change. This unexpected solidarity gave us strength and reminded us that we were not alone in this fight. As word spread about our situation, more residents began questioning the HOA's authority and practices. It felt empowering to see our struggle resonate with others who had faced similar issues. Together, we realized that this conflict transcended our family. It highlighted a broader issue concerning homeowner rights within the community. With renewed determination, we prepared to challenge the HOA, knowing that we were part of a larger movement for fairness and accountability. After weeks of escalating tension, the resolution process finally began to take shape as we prepared to confront the HOA legally. With our attorney's guidance, we filed a formal complaint against the association, outlining our grievances and demanding the removal of the barricade. The document detailed our non-member status, the lack of any legitimate claims against us, and emotional distress we had endured. As part of this process, we scheduled a meeting with the HOA board to present our case directly. The atmosphere was tense as we entered the meeting room, flanked by our lawyer and several supportive neighbors. We presented our evidence clearly and methodically, emphasizing that their actions were not only unjust, but also unsupported by any legal basis. The HOA representatives appeared taken aback by our organized approach and the community support behind us. After intense discussion, it became clear that the HOA was realizing potential fallout from their actions, especially with media attention looming and community unity growing. They agreed to remove the barricade immediately and acknowledged that they would reevaluate their policies regarding enforcement against non-members. In the following weeks, we received a formal apology from the HOA along with commitment to improve communication and transparency moving forward. While it was a relief to have our driveway cleared and our family life restored, we understood that this was just the beginning of a larger conversation within our community about governance and accountability. We felt empowered knowing that our fight had not only reclaimed our rights, but also sparked a movement for change within the neighborhood, a testament to what can happen when individuals stand up against injustice together. Our harrowing experience with the HOA taught us invaluable lessons about rights, community engagement, and the importance of being informed. First and foremost, we learned that understanding the legalities surrounding property ownership is crucial. Many residents assume that living in an HOA-governed neighborhood automatically binds them to its rules, but as we discovered, knowing your status and rights can make all the difference. We also realized the significant power of community solidarity. The support we received from neighbors during our ordeal was instrumental in our fight against the HOA. It highlighted how important it is to foster relationships with those living around us. When individuals unite for a common cause, they can create a formidable force against unjust practices, challenging authority and advocating for change. Additionally, our situation underscored the need for transparency and accountability within HOA governance. We recognize that many homeowners are unaware of their rights and responsibilities. This lack of awareness can lead to exploitation and overreach by associations. Moving forward, we became advocates for educating fellow residents about their rights and empowering them to voice concerns. Finally, we learned resilience in the face of adversity. The stress and uncertainty we felt during those weeks were daunting, but they ultimately strengthened our resolve. We emerged from this experience not only with our family's freedom restored, but also with a newfound sense of purpose, to ensure that other families would not have to endure similar struggles without support or guidance. Our fight had become more than personal. It was a mission to safeguard community well-being and fairness for everyone involved. As we reflect on our tumultuous journey with the HOA, we feel a mix of relief and gratitude. The barricades that once confined us are now gone, replaced by a greater sense of freedom and empowerment. Our family has regained the ability to navigate our neighborhood without fear or restriction, but the experience has left an indelible mark on us. Moving forward, We are committed to being proactive members of our community, not just passive residents. We have taken it upon ourselves to educate others about their rights, ensuring that no one else faces the same ordeal we did. By hosting informal gatherings and sharing our story, we aim to foster a culture of awareness and open communication within our neighborhood. Our fight against the HOA also sparked discussions about governance and accountability among residents. We've encouraged people to engage with the association, attend meetings, and voice their concerns. It's crucial that homeowners understand they have a say in how their community operates and that they can challenge unfair practices. While we are relieved to have resolved our specific situation, we understand that the battle for equitable treatment is ongoing. We hope our story serves as a reminder that standing up for what is right can lead to meaningful change. Together, as a united community, we can advocate for fairness and ensure that every resident's voice is heard and respected. As we move forward into this new chapter of our lives, we carry with us the lessons learned and the connections forged through adversity. Our family is